Yesterday, on my way to this event, I went to a multinational coffee shop, and it was not the Amsterdam kind of coffee shop. Knowing I was in Germany, I asked the barista after receiving my coffee, could I pay by card? And she responded with a very bold, "Natürlich." I didn't think it was all that natural being in Germany that you could pay by card, but hey, there we go. She got the card machine ready, and I pulled my debit card. I tapped. Boom. Big eyes staring at me. I didn't know you could do that. What had just happened? Well, I had taken a closer look at the card machine and I realized you could pay contactless, sometimes known as NFC, near field communication. And I had pulled my contactless enabled debit card and just tapped. The barista and I were sharing a mutual moment of flabbergast. She saw something incredible, new, that she had never seen before. And I had experienced the digital backwardness of German society. No offense. This goes to show, and this is exactly what this talk is about. Digital transformation is not easy. It is hard. And what I want to identify in this talk and what I want to talk about are some of the major roadblocks, some of the negative things, some of the things that you have to overcome to transform digitally, and then identify the potential of innovation. And how can we make digital transformation happen in our everyday lives and across society? One more hint before I start. Digital is not about the internet. The first thing that comes to your mind when you think about digital is the internet. But it's not at the beginning nor at the end of digital. Digital is about human needs. And I will explore 3 areas exactly to show you this. Number 1, transportation. Well, transportation is a fun topic to talk about in Germany, because the German economy much depends on car makers, prestigious car makers, that historically have relied on, well, you could say outdated engines. And these days, the car makers in Germany are shining with emission scandals rather than innovation. Now, the first example I'm going to show you is a negative example of how digital transformation and transportation don't go along in Germany. The second example will be a success story. So bear with the negative example first. In 2009, Uber was founded. Uber had as a unique selling point using the location services of your smartphone and internet connection. Yes, the internet was important. And it could match you with a driver in real time. You could get a driver in almost no time. And even more, you could pay without cash. You didn't have to have any cash on you, no cards, nothing. Just your phone, an internet connection, GPS, that's it. Now, as you may know, German courts didn't really like the idea of Uber. And in many other places in the world, courts didn't like Uber, and neither did politicians and lobbyism organizations. So this is a failure of digital transformation in Germany. Why is that? Well, first, let's explore the threats to German society. Well, yes, you have a set of selected drivers, and that's it. They hold the monopoly. Then think about the pricing model. The pricing model of traditional taxis is fixed. There is no supply-demand balancing here. Uber tried to break this. They wanted to match demand and supply in real time, which is groundbreaking. It's a unique selling point. Now, German courts, did they make a mistake? Maybe. They acted on existing law. They made decisions based on laws that exist in Germany. So they did what was the best in their opinion. They did their best judgment. But politicians weren't able to adapt to innovation fast enough. Did Uber make a mistake? And that's the bigger question, and there's a very clear answer to this. They did. They didn't talk to lawmakers. They didn't talk to lawyers. They didn't prepare their market entry. They just bulldozed into the German market and expected everyone to scream and get happy about Uber. No, but they didn't. That goes to show laws are incredibly important. Sometimes societies and cultures are not ready. But most importantly, laws have to be changed to make things happen. That's a negative example. Let's move on to a positive example. In 2009, the same year that Uber was founded, a company called Google started developing self-driving cars. Now this is Alphabet, not Google anymore. And actually, self-driving cars, the idea, was developed in the early 20th century. So Google just reignited a fire. And by now, you've heard of all of them: Tesla, Uber, Apple. All of them seem, or publicly, not so publicly, to be developing autonomous driving, self-driving cars. Even the car makers themselves are involved. Self-driving cars are not about the internet. Think about it. What's the primary motivation for self-driving cars? Safety. Safety first. Imagine a world where there would be no accidents because all cars could communicate with each other. That's amazing. So safety first, there was no internet. Number two, better traffic flow. Imagine a world without congestion, without traffic jams anymore. Amazing. Less fuel consumption. Sooner or later, we're not going to have petroleum anymore. We don't need oil. But for now, we have it. And reducing it is a major goal of self-driving cars because less traffic jams, less fuel consumption, less time spent in the car because everything is automated. Now, how is this a success story, self-driving cars in Germany, you might wonder? 2 months ago, both houses of the German legislative, the Bundesrat and the Bundestag, passed a law that allows fully and highly automated cars on public roads when they're launched. That's crazy, right? There is no self-driving car launched yet the German government has already allowed them onto the public road. Isn't that a stark contrast to the Uber example? Now, how did this happen? How did this success come about, you wonder? Well, politicians are quite interested in cars in Germany. There's massive car makers, and high-ranking politicians are quite involved in the car-making industry. They know that a politician's success depends on the car maker's success. Call it lobbyism, call it protectionism. This is a success story. This is great. Germany is one of the first countries in the entire world to pass legislation on self-driving cars. Amazing. There are a few conditions to it. For example, you need to have a human that is able to drive. There have to be pedals and a steering wheel. That's why it's not autonomous driving. It's highly and fully automated driving. But imagine nothing happens during the ride and the human doesn't have to intervene, then that's a fully autonomous drive. It's just safety measures. And even the insurance question has been answered. Insurance in Germany is always a big deal, right? Whenever you want to make something happen, think about insurance. Fire safety, oh my goodness. Berlin Airport, shall I say more? They answered that question in no time. They passed the law. Crazy, that's amazing. Let's move on to the second area that I want to explore. Very exciting, finance. Well, that doesn't sound right, does it? My opening was the first example, paying contactless, paying cashless. I'm going to bring up another example in just a second. But first, let's think about cashless societies. Have you heard of Denmark and Sweden? Their legislation does not require merchants or points of sale to have coins and notes available. They can basically force the consumer to pay with card. That's as progressive as it gets. Germany is quite different. But I want to talk about a different example. I want to talk about N26. Some of you might have heard of N26. They're operating across almost all Eurozone countries now, and they're a fintech startup, as you call it, financial technology, right? What is their unique selling point? Their unique selling point is push notifications onto your phone in real time when a transaction is incoming or outgoing. Super cool. Second of all, and that is much more impactful in a very tangible way, they don't have physical branches. You want to open a bank account? Do it online. You want to get a credit card? You do it online. You want to get a loan? You do it online. Everything is done online. They don't even have ATMs. They have nothing. And that is groundbreaking. But what is even more groundbreaking and more surprising, it's a German company. What? So there we see the potential of digital transformation in Germany and how to make it happen. They even got a banking license now. They're a full-fledged bank, basically. One of the challenges that remains, and that was what I was referring to in my opening, is Android Pay, Apple Pay, paying with your phone. Amazing. I live in Ireland, I can pay with my phone. I don't need my wallet anymore. I just have my phone and I can do everything with my phone. Here in Germany, banks and regulators are not yet cooperating as much, but there's rumors that Apple and Google are going to make their way into the German market sooner or later, right? So let's hope for the best. The last area is one that concerns all of us. And it's one that is changing human behavior in impactful ways, in many different ways. Let me ask you a question. Who here has used a dating app? Raise your hands, come on. Interesting split between the left side of the audience and the right side of the audience. That would be nice to study in a social psychology experiment. Now, imagine a world without dating apps. And for those who haven't used a dating app, let's do something different. Imagine a world without social media. No Facebook, no WhatsApp, no Instagram, no Snapchat. And even those of you who don't like social media, there's many different ways you connect now that you haven't connected beforehand. Well, this last example is a bittersweet example. The examples before, I tried to show how digital transformation can help you, me, everyone around us, people that we don't even know. Social media is interesting, dating apps are interesting. Now let's talk about Tinder. You know Tinder, this app where you swipe dozens of humans in a matter of seconds without reading their profiles because you don't care, you just look at the first picture and that's it? Yeah, that's Tinder. Tinder is not the first big app that connects people for dates, networking, chats, etc. based on your smartphone's location services. Some of you might have heard of an app called Grindr. It's for gay males. They developed this app years before Tinder was developed. This app had the same principle. You use your location services, you see people listed by distance, some people don't show their distance, so it's privacy safe, whatever. The point is, you were able to connect with other people that have similar interests and talk to them. You didn't have to come out of the closet to talk to them. It's great, it's awesome. Now, how is this negative, you would think? Because it's great, it helped youth, it helped older people, it helped everyone that was identified as a gay male or transgender. Gay bars and gay clubs started shutting down when Grindr became big. Interesting, right? You would think. Why is that? Grindr became the new safe space. You know, if you talk to gay males in their 30s, 40s, 50s maybe, they would tell you back in the day they had to meet physically in actual locations, actual venues, to get to know people with similar interests, to meet up, even just for chats, for whatever they wanted. They had to meet physically. They were safe spaces. Gay bars and gay clubs were the safe spaces. They didn't have a justification to exist anymore after Grindr came up, because people can meet one-to-one online without having to go out. So gay places started shutting down. People lost their jobs. And actually, nightlife-wise, many cities became a little more boring because there were less gay places around. This goes to show that whenever you think about digital transformation, you have to anticipate consequences, even if they're negative. You have to think about this, keep this in mind. If you want to do innovation, do something that's good for everyone. And if there are risks associated with digital transformation, try to mitigate the risks. Now, let me come to an end slowly. What I try to show is that in order to make digital transformation happen, from all these examples shown before, is that lawmakers need to care. Who are the lawmakers? They're politicians. We need to make politicians care. Who else is involved in the lawmaking process? Lawyers, lobbyism organizations, etc. We need to make these people care. Only if they care about digital transformation, laws will happen. And how can we make these people care? By caring ourselves. If we use digital products, if we use apps, if we use all these tools that are at our disposal, we can make a difference. We have to provide feedback. Those people who develop digital tools need feedback. They rely on feedback. And even if it's like a drop on a very hot stone, this feedback does make a difference because many drops add up to a barrel full of water, right? So let me simplify this in 3 easy points derived from the above examples. Number 1, laws. You have to establish a legal framework to make digital transformation happen. Think about the most successful digital tools in the world. They're all social media. Why? Because no law needed to be created, changed, or abolished to make social media available and to bring it into the market. Well, you could argue now there's anti-hate speech regulation, especially in Europe and in Germany, but this is the first time legislators and social media developers are actually clashing a little bit. Think back to Uber. They bulldozed into the German and French markets. Nobody liked them. Their model is not working. At least not as good as they imagined it to be. So this is number one, establish a legal framework. Number two, think beyond the internet. Think back to the self-driving car example. It is not about the internet always. The human needs don't revolve around the internet just yet. What we need is wealth, what we need is happiness, what we need is safety, health, joy, so many things. Love, if you think about dating apps. So identify these human needs when you want to make digital transformation happen before thinking about the internet. The internet can help you scale, the internet can help you reach masses in no time, but only when you've identified a human need and found a solution to this need, then you can think about how to scale it and how to spread the word. And last but not least, and this is where I'm going to end my talk, let's get the F started. Only if we walk out here, we think about all these points, we think about negative and positive examples, about success stories, about failures. We have this knowledge at our hands. Only if we get started, if we take action right now, we care ourselves, we make other people care, we can actually make digital transformation happen in no time. Thank you very much.